to this week's episode of Tips and Tea. This is our third in our series on change, and today we are drinking PG Tips tea in our Keep Calm and Carry On mug. And you'll see exactly why the Keep Calm and Carry On mug is important as we get into our topic, transitions. The author William Bridges introduces us to the concept of transition as it relates to change in his book, Transitions. And in that book, what he talks about is that transition is actually the psychological readjustment to whatever changes we're facing. And every transition has three distinct phases. It has an endings, it has a neutral zone, and then new beginnings. So just imagine, every single change that you are going through is accompanied by this thing that's kicking off in your mind that has three distinct stages to it. And the stages are very, very distinctive. So endings is all about actually saying goodbye to what has been. So sometimes they can involve a lot of sadness. Sometimes they can involve some anger or some confusion if we didn't initiate a particular change. But they really feel quite final, and they leave us feeling a little peculiar. And then, talking of peculiar, we have the neutral zone. So in the neutral zone, you're not where you were and you're not where you're going to be. So you're literally flailing around in this funny no man's land where what used to happen isn't happening and what's going to happen hasn't started. So it's all a bit peculiar. So we can go through a whole range of emotions in the neutral zone. We can go through some anxiety, we can still go through some sadness, we can go through some confusion. We can actually find it quite a creative place because you're not bound by the constraints of either side. But the neutral zone is a peculiar thing to be in because it's really like a no man's land. One of the books that I once read talked about the neutral zone being like Linus when his blanket is in the dryer. There's nothing to hang on to. And then finally, we get to new beginnings. So new beginnings are where we start breaking out of the sadness and the confusion of the first two stages of the transition, and then we move into something that looks like it could hold the seeds of what happens next. So it might feel a little more hopeful, it might feel a little more upbeat, there might be new routines starting and new things starting to happen. But just imagine, every time we go through a change, big or small, we actually get this little transition effect that comes along with it. So often we describe change as being painful, and we say we don't like change and we don't like how we feel in change, and we kind of shy away from change. But it's probably actually not the change that we don't like. It's probably just the transition. I was first introduced to the concept of transition when I moved from the UK to the USA back in 1999. And I thought I was only going to be here for a year, doing a year-long job swap. But it didn't matter, it was still an enormous transition and I was going through enormous homesickness. I called it homesickness. Actually, it was transition. So I walked into my boss's office one day, my very, very wise boss, and she already knew of William Bridges' work in transition. And I sat down and I was miserable and homesick and weepy and pathetic. And I sat down and I said, you know what? I don't think this is going to work. I think I've got to go home because I used to be really useful back there, but now here I can't do a single thing. I can't remember anything. I can't come up with any new ideas. I just feel useless. And she sat in her chair, she looked at me and she said, Alison, you're not useless, you're going through transition. And she gave me the book, and really it had a profound effect, not only on that transition, but every transition that I or the people around me have gone through ever since. Because you see, once you know about those three stages, you're better able to deal with them, and you also know what to expect. So one of the things in change that people sometimes talk about is they think that they're losing their mind. They just don't know which way is up, and it's all very confusing. Well, that's a lot of the effect of transition. But when you know that's going to take place and you can see the 3 stages and how distinctive they are, it really does make a difference to how hopeful you can be about the outcome. So my tip for you this week is to actually think about the changes that are happening in your life right now and consider the transition that might be happening to you as a result of these changes. So think, are you actually getting any feelings of sadness? Are you feeling a little bit confused? Are you feeling hopeful? And is that all happening all at once? Because chances are, if you're dealing with more than one change at once, then you're feeling a little of all of those things. And so it's perfectly normal, perfectly understandable. And at some point, you're going to come out on the other side and you're going to be just great. So that was transition, and next time we're going to be focusing on habits, which will be the last in our change series. See you then.